A little start late. This is Todd Burnham with Phil McCarthy to my right. We're here for Ask Anything Thursdays presented by Burnham Law. And today I just had my law school projects, so we're running a little bit late here. How you doing, Phil?
I'm doing really well. Thank you.
All right, so today we've been talking about for the past several days has been our leakage points, right? So we've got really 4, Phil, right? We've got 1 leakage point is going to be your number of leads, right?
Yep.
You can decrease those. Then you have your close rate, percentage of closes, right?
Yep.
Then you have your automations that we weren't doing, now we are doing, and automations are really focused on day 4 through 30, right? So we've got 4 areas. 1 is the leads, 2 is your close rate, 3 is your automations for the leads that are coming in day 4 through 30. And then 4 is it's a billing and transfer, right? So we're got to be at least at 90%.
Yep.
All right. So we've hit these 4 areas, and so far, after communicating and talking to people in our firm and the people that, especially with the 90%, right? Trying to get from 80% to 90%, we've established that 80% transfer and billing rates are your break even.
They are your break even, yes.
Right? So if we're at 90% there and we can increase that, then you're already increasing probably based on our firm numbers. You go from 80% to 90%, you're increasing your profits by about probably $800,000.
That's right.
Big deal.
Right? So getting to 80% are the basic fundamentals that you build your firm around.
Right.
And so that's going from upside down to break even.
Yes.
And then what we're talking about is taking the difference between 80 to 90 is now where you build profit.
Yeah.
And then we've left room and had conversations around how do you get from 90 to above 90, what's going on in that window.
Yeah.
And those concepts will come up. Those we'll continue to work on, talk about those too as well.
And you said last week, it was like, congratulations, you got the firm to 80%.
That's the hardest part. If you get to break even, you can stay, right? You get to take a deep breath, you're stable.
Yep.
You're doing the things that are leading to being able to stay. And now you get the privilege of looking at your business and saying, where do we clean this thing up? Where do we create efficiencies? And how do we start to make money?
Well, and you can say, I look at kind of like, this is the operations of a law firm, right?
Yes.
This is what you build out, right? And then as you're like, oh, that's my 80%.
Yep.
Sorry, Phil, I'm all over
No, I
your
love
space here. So if I'm at 80%, now we're going to try to get rid of, I can try to figure this out, Raul. Now we're trying to cull the area, right? Oh. Trying to get rid of these things. And so these extras over here. And so then we're left with something that is less than what we had over here, right? This is what we've gotten rid of. Extra over here. And now with this right here, that's your 90%.
That's right.
Now, if we can get this even better to 100%
Performance.
Right? Now you're just focused on high-level performance.
That's right. High-level execution, high-level service to client, high-level performance. You will see in the 90 to 100 where people's competitive natures will come out.
Yep.
Getting to 80 is everybody doing their job. Getting to 90 is now the new standard of where we run our business. That's the culture.
Yep. 90% billing transfer.
Yes, right? So 90% billing transfer. Getting to the next level, that's where we become competitive. That leaves room for somebody going from the 3rd line to the 2nd line to the 1st line, or being an associate to be a senior associate, to being a partner, right? That's where we separate. We allow people to kind of separate themselves and push, and then see what the new standard can be.
That's good stuff.
Right.
When you have that and then you have this new standard, what do you think happens to morale? When people are performing, and then when you're 80 to 90, there's more profits here, right?
Yes.
And those get trickled down to everybody in the firm. That's the biggest thing that you have to understand. Your transfer rate and your actual transfers and billing and transfers in general have a direct relation and correlation to morale and the way that people feel about how they work.
Absolutely.
Right.
Again, resources flow at success. Energy flows at great plays. So being in an environment where there's high energy and there's resources to do new things, right, is something that we should all be trying to achieve. It does create a culture that we want to exist within.
Well, and so then what happens after we go from 80 to 90, right? So when I start looking at this, I'm saying, oh, we're elevating our community or we're elevating our environment, right? And so now with all of these things that are being elevated, what is the end result? Like, so we've already figured out one thing, right? We've established that so far our leads have increased from 40 to 50.
Yep. Put 40 first. We know
Okay.
that's our baseline, break even. What's going on in the market that we can get 40? We're going to have a conversation about that in a second.
Yeah,
so I
that's
like
good.
the 40 to 50 over there.
All right.
Over here, between 90 to 100, all we're trying to do is figure out what's possible, right? So given the system we have, given the efficiencies, the processes, and the people, is it possible to transfer from 90 to 95? It's a question. It's not an assumption.
Yep.
It's not a demand.
Yep.
And high performers will teach us if we can get there or not, given how we've set the company up.
Yep.
So again, it is what's possible. And when we want to talk about the 40 to 50% lead, we've talked about in the past that 40 is basic fundamentals, right? So what are these basic fundamentals to get us 40? What is the break-even number where if we're doing these things, the market demand alone should draw us to a break-even number of leads, which is 40. All right, so we're talking about SEO Google leads.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about good reviews. We're talking about paid search, right? Basic referral flow, good phone coverage, prompt follow-up, competent intake process.
Mm-hmm.
Competent. If we do that, that fits demand on what's going on in the market, then I think those are the things that lead us to the break-even number of leads, to the number that gets us to 80% here, but 40% here.
Well, and also the thing that I come back to here is that we're doing all of this in an economy that I think is arguably in the middle of a recession or starting a recession. This is why you choose practice that are recession-proof. Family law, civil, I think personal injury is one that's going to struggle as there's, especially with COVID, people weren't driving, right? So maybe it doesn't impact personal injury, maybe it does, but I just know that civil and family law are ones that can actually grow during a downturn.
That's right.
And so this is possible, but you have to understand why it's happening. And so the why of all of these things goes into the culture increase, culture lift by going from 80 to 90. And then when we implement so many different changes in our website, probably close to, I think there was probably 200 or something like that. There's a lot of just resources, additional value. It immediately, when we implemented it, went to 50. Yesterday, so our sales have typically been around 40 and then 8, and we've talked about that, 8% sales. We're still at a percentage of close rate that sales are at 20%, but even then, at 50, you're at 10 to 12,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
And that's been a consistent number based on our organic SEO work that we've done, right? So you have to do those things that's going to elevate and lift the platform itself, the website, so you get more exposure. Websites, that's the thing that begins and ends everything.
Customers, what are they looking for when they pick up the phone after they're going through something, right? Efficiency, they're looking for preference, they're looking for high trust, right? So if you're available, visible, and you have conversion discipline, we should be able to engage a conversation that would lead to 40 leads, right?
We just increased over 20%.
By creating the next level of efficiencies, right? So what we would call the first 40 are fundamentals. What we're calling the second 40 would be compounding strengths or compounding fundamentals. And that's a conversation we want to have because we're watching as that happens live in our firm right now.
That's right.
Yep.
No one can read that anyway. Compounding. All right, so you got 40 to 50 fundamentals versus compounding fundamentals. What else gets raised as we increase? So if we're increasing our leads, that's directly related to conversions, and we've increased, if we go from 8 to 10, right? On average, yesterday was 12, but if we'll say 10, that's 2 a day, right?
Yep.
And so 2 a day times 22 days. That's how many weeks or days in the month. So 22 times, what's our average value of a family law case? About 20,000?
20,000 to 25,000.
So we got 20,000 times 22 new cases. Here comes some math people.
I like this.
All right. And that's only 4. So we're talking about $440,000. Is that right?
$440,000, right? On intakes under normal circumstances at 22 times, right? That's a change.
That's our change.
Yep.
Our difference in doing the work and actually increasing our leads through organic SEO nets us, say, 400 times 12. We're talking, I think that's pretty 440 times, we might as well do it. 0, 8, 8, 0, 4, 4. I think that is 5.2. 5.2 mil, and that's no additional increases in overhead except possibly add more lawyers. What we've also realized in our efficiencies over here is that it's not that we definitely need to reduce our workforce. It's actually that we have more cases coming in, so we might even need more people. Something that we didn't even anticipate. So the difference that we didn't even realize in doing additional 22 cases per month, per month, is that the possibility is $5 million additional from not increasing overhead.
That's right.
That's leakage.
That is, you hadn't captured it yet, so you haven't thought of it as leakage. But the conversation we like to have with all of you is, hey, start thinking about where you can be and what's possible, and then work backwards from what's possible to where are we at today along that spectrum, and how are we capturing the leakage that's possible creates, right?
Goodness, like doing this right here, 40 to 50, is that right there is 5 mil.
Yeah, let's keep that right there for a second. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you about was in the fundamentals, why going from 40 to 50 isn't just more of the same. And one of the traps that we can have is you double down on marketing, you double down, like you can't just double down on your reputation. You've got to grow your reputation and your high trust things. That's the change. But the activities, like grab demand from the market, stepped in front of competitors, and that's natural.
Yep.
That was organic demand capture. At 40%. But what we want to think about there is to do the same things to get the next 10. They might be lower margined customers.
Yeah.
Might be not the type of cases that we're best suited to support.
Right.
We need to change to get the right next 10. Right? And I have some notes, if it's okay, if I peek at them for a second, because I think it's helpful. So when we talk about compounding change and the little things that add up to the big things, things that'll take you from 40, 50, I want to throw some things out and see where you've experienced these.
Okay.
Referral systems, better review generation, better intake conversion. We've talked about that in the close rate.
Yep.
Branded demand. That's not more of the same. That's stronger branded, right? More name recognition, more direct traffic, branded search.
Well, and those things can happen even in the intakes process by helping people.
Yeah.
They'll give reviews if we just are of service to people and help refer them to someone that can help them. We're not just saying, hey, we can't help you buy. You're losing out on a possible review.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our reviews are from the intakes process itself.
And we want deeper, and we want to use those reviews and use the language of those reviews. And we want deeper reviews. We want some of our people that didn't choose us to say, hey, we're grateful that they passed us on to the right place.
100%. And we get that a lot. That's really good. Yeah.
So another one is better client experience. And then lastly is finding your own past customers that you've had for civil, you had DR customers in the past. You're just checking in with them.
Yeah.
Communicating with them, keeping them active in a relationship.
Well, and we're trying to remember.
Offering if we can help.
We want to stay top of mind, right? So like in the funnel area, so if we've already experienced where people come in through our funnel, right? And they've come through and they have chosen not to use us, right?
Yeah.
And yes, and then they're off into the process. So right here, we're still going to have someone's contact information. And because they reached out to us, we can still contact them on a systematic, regular basis, just providing information and resources, never selling. Right? You're just saying, we are here. By engaging with them, it keeps us top of mind, even though they declined us.
Absolutely.
Right? So now we're going to be email campaign. We're going to do whatever we want that just maintains, so if we're at top of mind, maybe once every quarter, they get an email. Just something, right? It's not like, hey, this is what we're doing. It's what can we add value? What resource can we provide? Things like that. I think that becomes just a constant evolution. And so your numbers will increase eventually from your email campaign with thousands, because you're going to have them, because you re-engaged in people that didn't choose you.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Hey, we're checking in on you, and we hope that we find that you're in a good place. But if you're still in a situation that needs some support and help, then here's what we're here for, right?
Yeah. Time that you have access to someone and they engage with you and they contact you, That's a lead for right now, it's a lead for the future, or it's a lead for a referral for the future. So
Yeah, right.
all those things matter.
Yeah. I'd say, again, going back to why does a client, how do they find the trust? Trust is trust is really important on who they choose. Is that
100%,
right?
yeah.
And then how do they find trust? So the 40% thing, they will trust someone that gave them word of mouth.
Yep.
Look at reputation of the firm.
Yep. Reviews.
Look at reviews. Customer experience from other people. If they had a friend, they'd go deeper into that.
Yep.
So one way or another, they're driving their comfort in trusting a firm to get to where they would make a decision, right?
So it's outside trust
Yes.
coming in, right? And then their direct experience is going to be the other one, right?
That's exactly right. So what do they need to hear, feel, or see that will allow them the trust to decide to make that decision? The getting to 50 means we've got to compound how we build trust, how we allow trust to be seen.
I think that a lot of that, when you're dealing with time on your leads, how long does it take to get back to you?
Yes.
Response time, level of urgency, things that they identifying, are they listening? Things like that establish
Yes.
trust, just listening. You can do more in sales by not talking than you can in talking. If you just listen, think, and help them win.
Right.
That's it.
And what is the quality of the conversation I'm having in the intake process?
Yep.
How are they communicating me along the way, moving me along? Did they get my signatures? Did they get the things they need from me?
Yeah,
Are they efficient? Are they caring about my problem? Are they, again, listening to me? Those are all the things.
Yeah.
Are the reviews, again, are the reviews a little deeper than someone else's review?
Yeah.
The compounding effects that get this person to say yes. Now, also in here, some of those effects are efficiencies. So those are human efficiencies.
Yeah.
Getting better at that, putting the right person to talk to them, the right
Yeah.
lawyers in the intake process.
Yeah.
So those are process and AI efficiencies.
Yeah.
People are good with those. And the follow-up, the
Yeah.
communication pieces, right? That
It is- right.
establishes and trust, yes.
A good one too is when there's a problem and you make a mistake. And owning a mistake
Yes.
establishes trust, right?
Yes, how
does.
you handle something that doesn't go well,
Yep.
and then rectify that and put them back in a place where they're in the same place or a better place,
Yep.
does build trust. Because now I know, hey, this is how you handle things.
This is how I handle things. This is a company or a group of people that own their shit, owned it, they acknowledged it, and they made amends and trying to make it better.
Yeah,
right?
right.
That's it. like happens, right? How do we handle it? Do we try to push it over here and blame other people? No, that doesn't establish trust. At the end of the day, we're in charge of the process. And if we miss on the process, or if there's leakage and something falls through, are we quick to say, "Yep, that's our fault. That's not how we operate," right?
You're right.
Things happen, etc. I think that that's really important to establish trust. Trust is everything, right?
I really think it is.
Credibility, trust, and authority. You establish credibility by your experience. You establish the trust by the personal experience and the outside factors that you're looking at. And then authority is after you establish credibility and trust, you are the pinnacle of your area, right? And so then it just compounds. There's your compounding fundamental.
That's it. Like the people you're putting on your team are help you, can
Yeah.
move you, can win.
People
you.
that leave the
Yeah.
team can help you, move you. You have people in your leadership group, one leaves and wants to start their own firm. Happens there? What kind of engagement comes up? What change happens? Change is good. We want change. It's transformative. It gets you from 40 to 50.
Right.
It keeps you you just do 1 to 3 and you just stay there in your comfort zone, right? Like there's a student I just met with, right, and she's trying to things, right? Like,
Yeah,
go to law school,
sure.
et cetera. And she's at the point now where she's like, what do I want to do with my life? What do we do with these things? And so when I have the most impact, right?
Yeah, I think that's the question she's asking, right?
Yeah.
Where do I want to place myself to go play? What arena am I choosing to go play? And what's
Yeah.
best suited? And for whom do I want to have that impact?
And that's a question that everybody in the area of law,
Yes.
they're faced with in law school. They're years of pretty much hell, unless you really love it. I didn't. You kind of came here with all of these backgrounds and everything. What's my life path? Am I going to go work for big law and make money and be miserable or be fulfilled or whatever that is, right?
Yep.
So it's about change. And if we can adapt to the change, we see here that we have 4 points that we've addressed that have resulted in just a lot possible here in law if you provide excellent service and you're efficient in your processes. It establishes trust and brings it up.
It really,
Love this shit.
Drop the mic.
Yeah.
But the thing about this is, where's the proof? So is right? And as you're putting these efficiencies in place, as you've challenged and we've challenged, and leadership of Burnham Law has challenged our awesome lawyers who are looking for high performance. If we've done that, we've seen change happen. We have seen 80 go to 90, right?
Yeah.
We've seen one of our divisions constantly deliver 92%.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and if you have those things, and it's not theory, it's actually what works, right? Like hey, like have mindset, proof. And this is like, beauty of this is that we're going through these things with our firm real time, and we're fixing them. Like that. So we know what to look for, we know what to spot, we've examined enough, and that's what's working on the business and not in it does for you. We can analyze. Otherwise, if you're grinding and you don't have this ability to like the 10,000 foot view, then you're missing all opportunities, right?
Yeah. Enjoying the size of the machine you built.
Yeah.
You're not giving it the upgrades it needs.
No, and you're not as healthy as it could be.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, that's good.
How do things like referrals, brand, these are the things that create surface level trust, if we'll call it that.
Yep.
What creates deeper level trust? What do we need to do to communicate our brand differently? Maybe niche out into communities that fit and suit what we do. Mm-hmm. Referrals are lawyers, reputations. How do we get richer reviews and conversations about the firm? How do you get to compounding richer from surface level?
I think you start with an attitude and a mindset of curiosity, right?
Yeah.
You can those things, and you can look at things in a different way. I think by looking at what you have and where you want to go, I think allows you to do that, but it really requires that you can dig and you can get granular with these things, because you're looking at the bits and pieces and not the big picture, and they both interact with each other. So I think that the more we look at these things from a perspective of personal vision for the individual and the business vision of the company, and if theirs are aligned, that's a healthy business.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Again, visibility.
Yeah.
Right? And what is our process of communication? We engage a client who has reached out to us.
Well, and I think that it's even engagement and communication internally makes us more efficient. We're talking to people and we're like, look, we need to be at 90%, and then there's a gap for mental health. And everybody takes that 90% and brings it to 100. Like, we communicated what the expectations and what the standards are. Yeah. Gap. That wasn't that plugged by not communicating. Because after communicating effectively, for years, it's been 80%, right? And we've just but by communicating what the expectations are and what the benefits are to the people, the clients, and the business, that number has gone last week to 96% across the firm. Like, it's amazing what happens when you communicate.
And that wasn't a forced change on those last few percentages, right?
No.
That wasn't a mental health ding for people. That wasn't oversized pressure.
No.
Hit that demand. That was something they showed us was possible just by working in a different way.
Yeah.
Strengths.
And showing a vision for the individual and the business. The individual, you want a job, you hit 90%. If you want to advance and you want to have more, and you want to separate yourself, that's 100%. So when I see that we're at 80 or even 78% and we end up transferring 96%, that means to me that the people that were spoken to want more. They now know what the benchmark is that hasn't been communicated.
Yes.
And they're saying by their actions, hey, you only need to hit 90. Yeah, but I'm going to do 96. What does that mean? That's intention. That's you communicating by your actions that you want more and that you're a player.
Right.
That's real.
Right? And that builds a reputation for how you do things and how you compete. Yeah. Other people can admire and see that model and choose if that's who they want to be as well.
And if
that's not for everybody.
No.
Right? Not all Michael Jordans. Not everybody can be on the first line, right?
Yeah.
But nice to know it's possible and the person is sustaining it physically, mentally, emotionally, right?
Yeah.
That is a choice we could make.
And it's a choice that's given to them, and that their actions are, hey, I want more.
Yeah.
Right? Or people that be like, I want 90. And I want the 3 hours of mental health. I think that's just a nice model of how to operate and prioritize your people without overcompensating. The business side of this, like, we're in a business of providing exceptional service to people that are going through traumatic times, right? Pretty close. And so if we can do that at a high level and then our business acumen matches that performance,
Yeah.
business that expands. There's your expansion because you're excellent and you're dialed in with your systems and your automations, and the client feels it, and it raises the specter of everything.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then as you're doing those activities and performing in that way naturally, what we do, how do we make that more visible to the world? How does the world know, hey, for this particular niche of clients, we've had these wonderful outcomes and these wonderful reviews? Or you know, we do now. Here's what we've done. Here's who's has a starring role.
Yeah.
Like how we
The way that I approach, the way that I
become
look
more visible.
Yeah, like a number of ways, right? And so it becomes, are we going to highlight the person,
Okay.
the company, right?
Yep.
And so you highlight the person through the reviews, right?
Yes.
Wins.
Okay.
We do wins. That, when we highlight the person, the transfer of all of that goodwill goes to the business,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
By highlighting our people, we accelerate the exposure to the firm. And that way you're actually highlighting and you're raising the specter of the individual attorney and the person's
Yeah.
team, general, and then it correlates to the performance of the firm. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything.
That's great. And again, it's just building trust,
Yep.
right?
That's it.
Showing what's important to the firm that you're considering helping you with your situation, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I
All right,
think
so we
that's
established
fantastic.
trust. We're building more. As we look at our exposure and our leakage points historically, we've now made them profit centers, all 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
And with doing that, the efficiencies raise the specter, the reviews increase, the experience. Everything is about the client experience. Nowadays, especially with automations and AI and all of those things, if the client's experience is exemplary, it goes back to the time when the difference with this kind of experience and that of a restaurant, right? You're only telling people if you have a bad experience typically.
Yeah.
Don't go there, right? You'll get that here too with law firms. They charge for a consult or something. You're going to get negative reviews, right? That's just part of the business. But if you can turn those into opportunities, the way that we're doing that in the whole culture shift of this, when you change the way that you're operating, raises all ships. It just does, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's good stuff. What are we doing next week?
Oh, well, I don't. That's a surprise.
I know,
gotta keep
right?
People guessing on that.
We should. So a month, we've from 40 to 50 leads, our percentage of close rates are slightly starting to show right now, and
Yep.
we are at 90%. That's after 1 month. We've seen that by raising from 40 to 50, our profit margin can go to 90% and higher because it's not just the percentage of billables anymore. And we've actually done the numbers to show that just by increasing our leads and our transfers,
2 things. That's amazing.
5.2.
I'd like for all of you to consider in a strategy meeting looking at, okay, what are the things we're doing that leads to 40? Write that out, get that on your whiteboard, and make sure that those things, anything there that can be made them better.
Every single one.
Right?
Those
And
are
make
all
them better.
leakages. Yep.
And then compounding, look at it and say, okay, we need to change. How do we build higher trust
Yep.
so that the next 10 aren't the last 10 in the market? It's clients that are coming for new and deeper and stronger reasons. They're
Yep.
leaving your competition behind to choose you.
Yeah.
So you're not capturing natural demand, you're capturing natural demand and high demand from clients that are looking for the best of the best, right? If you have
Yeah.
timing, there's pricing, and there's quality. These are the people that are looking for all 3, and you're positioning yourself to be all 3 of those things, right? So again, in your strategy meeting, you're laying out what are the things that are possible for us to create compounding effects,
Yep.
right? Here, you're drawing out, you're figuring out first and foremost that you're to get to break even, what are the things we're doing to get to 80%, and then you're writing what's possible, what gets us to 90. You got to draw your strategy out, and we've been talking about all the strategy points on that.
Yep.
Then you've got to communicate that, and you got to get leadership behind it, and the performers and the lawyers behind it to see life is better in this when we get there.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, we get there. Don't jump to the second step. Now, how do we? In that conversation, how do we separate high competitive people? How do we create an environment where we allow competitive people to thrive, but we don't, and then we allow an environment where people are being at 90%, and that's a
Great life. Yeah, the other firm has to include the vision for the individuals.
Right? And the whole time you're looking at all of these pieces and you're hunting efficiencies, right? That are possible for your firm that you could deliver naturally or with enhanced efforts.
Hunting efficiencies.
Right?
That's good.
It makes you an active player in this, not a victim of what's happening in your firm. The hunting makes you an active player.
All right, man. What are we going to talk about next week? Hunting efficiencies.
Right. We might move on to people.
Ooh, that's good.
You know what I mean?
A big one.
Well, what gets a person to want to perform or separate themselves to get from 90 to 96? What's going on in there? And type of person has those capabilities? How does someone develop those capabilities if they don't have them now or they hope to? You mentioned a lawyer, a student of yours that wants to be a lawyer that says she's looking to always continually improve. Mm-hmm. Her 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Well, we have a lot of talk, especially with lawyers in our firm, about how do I think that game? How do I make the adjustments to my game to make that possible? And what impacts does that have? And we can work backwards to that because we've been talking about the impact it can have.
Yeah.
Now we can talk about what are those adjustments per person that can get them in a way of playing that delivers.
I love that.
And for performance. So I think that's an important conversation too.
People next. See you next week. Thanks for joining. Good
Thank
job,
you.
Phil.
Good job.